balloons. Hey.
Because you didn't buy it, you're broke. You bought the turtle.
We didn't buy the turtle.
No. So, you might have money, ask me.
We got...
The NFL world was completely shook when what started as a casual, playful chat between rising stars turned into one of the most talked about moments of the offseason. Shedeur Sanders, the quarterback constantly under the microscope both on and off the field, suddenly found himself back in the center of a storm. But this time, it wasn't about his skills or his famous last name. It all boiled down to New York Giants running back Cam Skattebo crossing a line that, honestly, he shouldn't have. During a live show featuring some of the league's brightest young talents, including Micah Parsons, Shedeur Sanders, and the Sanders brothers themselves, the vibe took a sharp, unexpected turn. What began as friendly banter and light-hearted energy quickly soured when Skattebo dropped a comment that made the whole room wince. He straight up called Shedeur Sanders broke. Yes, broke. Just imagine saying that out loud in front of him. The sheer audacity of it would make anyone pause. But when you realize who he was talking about, it gets even more ridiculous. This came right after Skattebo tried to roast Shedeur for being a fifth-round draft pick, a low-key jab at where Shedeur went versus his own status. It was supposed to be a joke, a little dig to get under Shedeur's skin, but instead, it completely backfired. In fact, it did more than flop. It revealed just how little Skattebo understands the business side of football, and the empire Shedeur has been quietly building long before his first NFL snap. Shedeur's reaction said it all. No insults, no yelling, no petty clapbacks, just a look. A look that spoke volumes without uttering a single word. Then came the smile. Not a friendly, harmless smile, but the kind that tells you in a heartbeat, you just made a huge mistake. It was pure mastery of composure, the kind only someone raised under constant spotlight pressure can pull off. Shedeur knew that stooping into a back and forth with Skattebo wasn't worth his energy. He's built for this attention. Skattebo? Not even close. The truth is, Cam Skattebo tried to flex, tried to claim some kind of dominance or relevance in a room filled with bigger names. But calling Shedeur Sanders broke? That's like calling Bill Gates cheap. It's not just wrong, it's laughable. And the numbers don't lie. Let's break it down. Shedeur Sanders is the top-selling jersey in the NFL this year. Let that sink in for a second. Not just among rookies, but all players. That means more fans are buying his jersey than veterans, Pro Bowlers, and even championship winners. The revenue Shedeur has raked in from jersey sales alone likely dwarfs Skattebo's entire contract. And this isn't just hype. This is confirmed, real data, even discussed by former NFL MVP Cam Newton. Shedeur isn't just a football player, he's a brand. And brands? They make money in ways most people can't even imagine. This marks the first time ever that a fifth-round pick has dominated jersey sales. Nobody's been watching third- or fourth-rounders like we've been watching Shedeur Sanders. He has sold more jerseys than any other rookie this year. But here's where it gets wild, depending on whether you're Cam Skattebo or not. Recently, Gatorade came knocking with an offer that would make almost any athlete's knees buckle. $60 million over 3 years. For most players, that's a no-brainer. You sign, cash the check, and call it a day. But Shedeur Sanders isn't your typical athlete. Instead of taking the guaranteed cash, he did something that shows business instincts rarely seen, even among the most successful pros. He structured the deal to include 3% ownership in Gatorade USA. Now, 3% might sound small to most people, but when you're talking about a multi-billion-dollar company, that slice is enormous. Gatorade is a global powerhouse, and owning even a fraction of it means Shedeur will be collecting serious checks for years, possibly decades. This isn't about short-term cash. It's about generational wealth. It's about securing his family's future for life. If the current trajectory holds, Shedeur Sanders is on track to become the youngest NFL billionaire while still playing the game. Not just a millionaire, a billionaire. Let that sink in. Cam Skattebo can only dream of anything like that. Yet here he was on a live show calling Shedeur broke. The irony is almost too much to process. And the Gatorade deal? That's just the surface of Shedeur's financial empire. Long before he even played an NFL snap, he locked in a record-breaking endorsement deal that had the sports world talking. At the time, the $125 million contract was unheard of for someone who hadn't played a professional down. Critics questioned whether he deserved it without proving himself on the field. The skeptics were loud, but Shedeur didn't flinch. He knew his value, and more importantly, so did the brands.
In his deal with Gatorade, that clause basically said, I'm not just here as a name or a body, I want part of what's being built off of me. I want ownership in the outcome. So that clause essentially just preserved his interest. He walked away with his corrected status in the contract, and
Then things escalated to a whole new level. The moment Shedeur stepped onto the field for his first preseason action, Nike triggered a special active player clause in his contract. Just like that, the value of his deal doubled. His earnings skyrocketed to a staggering $250 million over the next 4 years. And the deal wasn't just about base salary. Shedeur also locked in an unprecedented 50% cut from all his jersey sales. That means every time a fan buys a Shedeur Sanders jersey, half of that money goes straight to him. This created a revenue stream that puts him in a league entirely of his own. While other rookies were celebrating standard endorsement deals and learning to manage their new wealth, Shedeur was already playing a completely different game. This made him not only the highest-paid rookie in NFL history, but also one of the most influential young athletes across all sport. What made it even more jaw-dropping was that he was already out-earning big-name prospects like Cam Ward and Travis Hunter in both earnings and marketability. Even without a first-round selection as many predicted, Shedeur proved that draft position doesn't define success. Business smarts, timing, and knowing your worth do. So when Cam Skattebo sat across from Shedeur Sanders and called him broke, it wasn't just a bad joke. It exposed his total ignorance about the business side of pro sport. It showed he doesn't grasp the difference between making money and building generational wealth. And it painted him as someone completely out of his league with one of the most passionate fan bases in sports. Shedeur Sanders fans don't tolerate disrespect. They defend him with the same intensity he brings to the field. And Skattebo is about to learn that the hard way, because while Shedeur stayed calm and took the high road in the moment, his fans won't be so forgiving. The backlash against Skattebo has already started, and it's only going to get louder. The truth is, Cam Skattebo should have done his homework before mocking someone playing on a totally different financial plane. Shedeur Sanders isn't just wealthy. He's building an empire. And calling a guy like that broke doesn't make you clever or tough. It makes you look ridiculous. In the end, Shedeur Sanders once again proved why he's one of the smartest young athletes in pro sport. He didn't need to clap back with words. He didn't need to defend himself or explain his fortune. His smile said it all. And the numbers? They do all the talking. While Cam Skattebo scrambles for attention with cheap shots, Shedeur Sanders is quietly climbing to become one of the richest and most powerful players in the league.